All right. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his final messenger. So, Alhamdulillah, we are back again with another Mr. Islam Answers Back live show. Before I begin, let me send out some tweets to let everybody know that the show has started. All right, so bear with me. And as I said, that we are going to start going on the offensive, right? Remember, I mentioned that. I said we're going to start. We've been doing a lot of defense video, right? We've been on the defensive, right? Refuting, defending the attacks against Islam. And so I said, I think it's time that we start to turn the tables around. And instead of always being on the defensive, we're going to have to turn around and start going on the offensive. And as I said, that's exactly what we're doing. So this video is an offensive video, right? Meaning we are about to go on the attack. Forget about, and don't, like I said, we're still going to do refutations and exposing haters and refuting their lies. But it's time that we start to go on the offensive. And so now we are on the offensive in this video. Now, of course, I've dealt with Robert Spencer many times over the years. So this is, this is not anything new. Assalamu alaikum to the brother Muzzy Buzz from the Mad Mamluks. Welcome, brother. I showed you a show earlier today. That was a pretty interesting show with that guy. And, just so, I don't mean to divest from my subject today, but man, just listen to the guy talk and just how he was trying to single out Islam. You know what I mean? Just like how he was trying to single out Islam. And as I was saying in the comment section that, these claims about IQ and stuff like that, there's articles that all religious people are allegedly, you'll have, lower IQ supposedly, so for him to try to single out Islam just shows their bias. But again, the whole IQ thing is really a white racist construct. When you look into the origins of the so-called IQ, where people actually think they can measure somebody's, genetic or inherent IQ, this is all based on some white supremacist nonsense. But nonetheless, it was still interesting, you know what I'm saying? So that's all it was. And the fact that he tried to single out Islam is just another way, just another white racist trope, another way for them to make themselves feel falsely superior. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, another way for them to make them feel falsely superior about themselves, But anyway, back to the subject. So, like I said, to today's subject, yeah, of course, they try to justify it. Of course, man. That's all that is. Notice they're the only people in the world who try to come up with this thing that they can supposedly measure somebody's intelligence, inherent intelligence, and all that stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? All that is, it's just, notice they're the only ones in the world who ever tried to do this. It's white racism, bro. That's all that is. And it's a false white racism. That's the reality about it, But as I said, today's subject, we're going to be dealing with Robert Spencer. And of course, I've dealt with Robert Spencer over the years, right? And so basically, I'm making this forward statement first because I don't want people to make the claim that, we're just attacking him personally, but we haven't refuted his lies. So before we get into the subject, I want to remind everyone that just to let you see that we've dealt with Robert Spencer over the years, okay? So we refuted his lies over the year. Here's, you see, this is Blog Talk Radio, the radio show that I had some years ago. So as you see, we've been refuting Robert. As you can see, it says 12 years ago, right there on the screen. You see where it says right there, Broadcasting Religion, 12 years ago. So I don't want anybody to say, oh, yeah, you're just personally attacking him, but you haven't dealt with his claims. You haven't dealt with his arguments. Yes, we have. Okay, this subject today is just showing further why Robert Spencer can't be trusted to speak truthfully about Muslims and Islam. I'm going to show you, if you haven't already noticed this, that we've already refuted his argument. So he's not trustworthy based upon that already, based upon the fact that we've already, myself and others, have exposed his lies over the years. I've been in this game for longer than 12 years, actually. But as far as when it comes to social media, 12 years or more, right? Because I've been on social media really doing this ever since the mid 90s, where we were debating, not debating Robert Spencer because he wasn't even around at that time, as far as I know. But in those early years, in the mid 90s, we were already doing this. This was our build up to where we are today. Praise be to Allah for that. But that was our build up. So we've been doing it. But as far as when it comes to this YouTube stuff and all of that, yeah, about 12, 13 years or so, we've been doing this for a long time. And alhamdulillah to the new brothers who are coming in and joining in. But we've been doing this for a long time. So I want to make that understood. As you can see, it says 12 years right there. So I made this video 12 years ago refuting Robert Spencer. So I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, you're only attacking him, but you're not attacking his arguments. Yes, we've already refuted his arguments. So as you can see, and by the way, if you get a chance, listen to this show. Go to Blog Talk Radio. Look up Brother Shadid. All right, look up Brother Shadid, and you can check out some of these shows that I did. So I did this show 12 years ago, as you see here, Religion of Peace, Why Islam is and Robert Spencer is wrong. Okay, so I want you to see that. Then you can see here, I debated him. This was back in, well, actually, this debate was I think this debate was in 2014, but unfortunately, we didn't get the full copy of it until like 2017. But as you can see here, I debated him in person. I debated him face to face right here. So you can see here. And I always point out to people that I noticed that after this debate, as far as I know, I have not seen him debate another Muslim since that debate. If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know, because I have not seen him do any debates against another Muslim face to face until that debate. That was the last one he did face to face with another Muslim. Since then, he only does single lectures. Now, if I'm wrong, please somebody provide me with the debate that he has had since then, because I have not seen him debate any Muslims after that debate. And I tell you the reason why is because he got, his arguments were completely destroyed in that debate. I exposed him how he was misquoting Quran, how he was leaving off verses and not telling people the next verse and stuff like that, which I think was one of the highlights of the debate. And because of that, I feel that he hasn't debated any Muslim since then, because he needs to save face. You see, he realizes that if he debates a Muslim who's knowledgeable and knows what they're talking about, he's going to be embarrassed the way he was embarrassed in this debate, as you see on the screen right here. He knows he'll be embarrassed. You see? So he needs to keep this image to his audience, who are a bunch of bigots themselves, that he's the tough guy, that he's the alleged tough guy against Islam, and he's exposing Islam. Because when he faced me here, that was destroyed. The image of the so-called guy who knows about Islam is exposing it was exposed that he's a fraud. So since then, he has not debated any other Muslims in public that I've seen. He's only done lectures where he's by himself, single lectures where he's just talking a lecture, maybe a question answer. But, when that's the case, you have the control, you see. So since then, since that debate that you see on the screen, I have not seen it. Again, if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. And I think the brother Muhammad Hijab had challenged him recently, but now to avoid a debate, he wants $20,000. He wants the brother to pay him $20,000. So that's a way to save face. That's the way to, make it look like you're willing to accept a debate, but by charging $20,000, which most people ain't going to come up with for no debate, right? That's a way to say, well, I'm willing to accept, but you got to pay me $20,000. Like, who does he think he is? Like, what is he, a rock star or something? Right? What is he, a rock star or a rapper who, gets $20,000 to do a show? No, I don't think so. But that's a way to make it look like, oh, I'm willing to debate you, but, pay me $20,000. But like I said, since that debate here, I have not seen him debate another Muslim. And I feel that's the reason why, because he knows that he cannot do that. He can't debate a Muslim who knows what they're talking about in public, because he will be embarrassed again, like he was in this debate. And of course, that's going to ruin his image, right? That's going to ruin his image. And if his people keep seeing him getting embarrassed like that by Muslims who know what they're talking about, he might lose his money. He might lose his support. See, we've also dealt with him here. I have videos. Look at this video back 2007. Robert Spencer on Islam Refuted, part 1 and part 2. Right. So I've been dealing with him. So again, I'm showing you all this stuff here so you guys can see that the video that I'm doing today, where we're going to expose his bigotry, which is just another addition to the facts and reasons why you cannot trust Robert Spencer to speak about Islam, because not only is his information about Islam wrong and false and has been refuted, but that he's also a bigot. He has a bias. He has a bigoted, racist bias against Muslims and Islam. So therefore, he cannot be trusted to be a reasonable and neutral party to speak the facts, which we've exposed. Okay, so as you can see, I showed you that I've been refuting his stuff for years. Okay, for years. So I don't want anybody to come and say, oh, you're just attacking him, but you can't refute him. No, we've already refuted him. This right here, this video today is just an addition to why you can't trust him, because he is a bigot, a lying bigot. Okay, so let's be clear. Let's be clear about that. All right, let's be clear about that. Okay, so, oops.
Front page challenge.
All right, so what we're going to show you, right? He will bring, yeah. So what we're going to show you is, again, as I said, some clear examples of that bigotry. All right, so let's get started here. And what I did too, I went to check his profile page to see, because everybody knows that today all this stuff about the like the protest and all that has been going on, right? The racism is being exposed more so. So I wanted to see, is Robert, because if you see him in some of his past interviews, when he's questioned, when he's pushed about why he only talks about Muslims, he'll claim, oh yeah, I'm against all terrorism. I'm against all violence and stuff like that. But yet you see that he only blames Muslims. Right. So I said, you know what? Let's see. As Robert Spencer, is he talking about, what's going on now? Is he talking against the racism? Is he on the side of the people who are anti-police brutality? Is he on the side of the people who are against the racist? So I go to his Twitter to see what his timeline is talking about. And on his timeline, all you see on his timeline is that he is he's not talking about it at all, and unfortunately he's on the side of the bigots, right? As I suspected, he's not on the side of the anti-police brutality people. Here are a lot of his posts right here, as you can see, and a lot of the stuff he's talking about, he's calling people leftist, and but I don't see him say anything about George Floyd. I don't see him say anything, excuse me, about Ahmaud Arbery. I don't see him say anything about Breonna Taylor. If you're unfamiliar, those are the names of the most recent victims of police brutality, police misconduct, or some type of racially motivated violence, right? The new guy that they just showed a video that happened a year ago, Elijah McCain, I don't see him talking about any of that stuff. I don't see him mention anything about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Elijah McCain, and the various other people who have been victims of racist police brutality in the recent months. Right? Instead, he's arguing people who are calling him out. And of course, everybody's a leftist, right? A Marxist, a this, or that. But he's not saying anything about it. So it's apparent to me, which I already knew he was, he's on the side of the alt-right. He's on the side of these right-wing, conservative, racist bigots. He's on their side when you look through his timeline, right? He doesn't say anything about, these people that I mentioned, right? And I want to show you guys, check this out, just to show you some of his bigotry. Here he was a few months back, right? As you can see here on the screen. And as you can see here he is talking about Muslims, supposedly defying the restrictions on the COVID-19. Hear what he says. He says, Cameroon, thousands of Muslims defy virus restrictions. One says obeying them would disobey Muhammad and Quran, right? So this is to show his bigotry, that he's only singling out Muslims. And as you can see here, I responded to him. I said, say something about this, hypocrite bigot. Because look, his fellow Christians, look here. It says mega church pastors defy coronavirus pandemic also, insisting on the right to have church services. Why didn't Robert Spencer report that? See, if he was truly against people violating the restrictions, why does he only single out Muslims? Right? If he was really about, justice everywhere and, I'm a fair person, he would say, oh, look at this. There's Muslims and Christians doing this. Instead, no, he only singles out the Muslims, but he keeps his hypocritical, bigoted mouth shut about his own fellow Christians who are doing the same damn thing, right? As you can see right there in the article right there. Mega church pastors, they're defying the rules too. But no, he only singles out the Muslims. That's why I call you a bigot, Spencer. That's why you're a bigot. The fact that you only single out Muslims to promote this anti-Muslim bigotry and demonization of Muslims. Meanwhile, you keep your mouth shut about your own fellow Christians who are doing the same damn thing, who claim the same thing, that, oh, it's their right. You know, God will protect them. They got to, you know, same thing, same reasons. But because they're not Muslims, he keeps his mouth shut. You're a hypocrite, Robert Spencer, and you're a bigot. And these are reasons why you can't be trusted. Not only you can't be trusted because you lie about Islam, but you can't be trusted because it's clear that you're a biased bigot. You clearly have a bias. You can't be trusted to speak about Islam and Muslims, you know, reasonably and fairly and honestly because you do stuff like this. Okay, let me show you some other. Okay. All right, we back connected. All right. All right, we're back connected, right? Sorry about that. Just had a little disconnection problem here. Okay, good. Yes. Okay, very good. Very good. Alhamdulillah. All right, so what was I saying? So, yeah, we are here, right? Okay. So all right. So yeah, so here, as I said, let me let's see, let me get that. All right, so yeah, let me show you some more of his double standards and hypocrisy here. That's when I was refuting. Wait a minute, where was it? All right, so yeah, here we go again. Yeah, so that was one of them. There was some more here. Right. So once again, as I see, I respond to him again. Right. Let's see. Let's get this. Let's see if we can see the full tweet here from what he was saying. Well, yeah, that's the same one. Yeah, thousands of Muslims defy restrictions, right? So I gave him another article of Christians doing it again. I said, this is how we know you promote hate and bigotry, because your hypocritical ass says nothing about your fellow Christians doing the same thing. So he's talking about Muslims in Cameroon. So here's Christians in Brazil and Africa doing the same thing, as you see from the article. Churches defy coronavirus restrictions in Brazil and Africa. He says nothing. So this is happening. All religious groups are doing this. But what does he do? He only singles out the Muslims. He only wants to demonize Muslims. He only wants to make Muslims look bad. Meanwhile, he keeps his mouth shut about his fellow Christians doing the same exact thing. You find that there are some Christians who are doing the same thing, just like there were Muslims who were doing the same thing. So a fair person would either just leave it alone and say, hey, look, man, various religious groups are defying the coronavirus. Right. But to promote his false narrative, he only wants to pick on the Muslims and say, oh, the Muslims are the one. Look at these Muslims. Look at these Muslims violating the coronavirus restrictions. Meanwhile, his fellow Christians are doing the same thing, using the same religious reasons that some Muslims may use. But he's silent about that. All right. Here's another one that you see here, where I told them, I said, stop being a hate-filled bigot. Call out your people for doing the same thing here at home. All right. So here you go. It says Patriot Movement calls on followers to defy COVID-19. Same thing. But what is Robert Spencer? He's silent. You check his site. He doesn't mention any of these things. See? Yet he claims that he's against all violence. He's against all terrorism, but yet he never speaks about the terrorism committed by Christians or Jews or anybody else. It's always Muslims all the time. Right? Never does he talk about any of these other groups. Right? So just like here, you see, he's not talking about any other groups either. Right? You see, here he's not talking about any other groups either. What is he talking about? He's only talking about Muslims. So yet you have same thing that these patriot groups in the United States are calling for their followers to defy the COVID-19 restrictions, right? In the rural Northwest, far-right elected officials and the militias they align with are calling for the defiance of the COVID-19 restrictions. But you look on his Twitter, nothing about it. Instead, the Muslims, the Muslims, the Muslims, the Muslims, the Muslims. This is why he can't be trusted, because he's clearly trying to demonize Muslims. This is bigotry. This is a form of racism that he's promoting, because he won't talk about his fellow Christians that are out there trying to defy the COVID-19 restrictions just the same. You see? Right? Further on, we see stuff like this. And I didn't see him talk about this at all. I didn't see him mention this stuff at all, as you see here. Federal law enforcement documents reveals white supremacists discussed using coronavirus as a bioweapon. Now, if Mr. Spencer is against all terrorism, as he supposedly claims, why didn't he, that's something important, right? That's something you should talk about. That's dangerous right here. White supremacists trying to use coronavirus as a bioweapon? That's really bad. Now, if Muslims had done this, I guarantee you he would have made an article about it, right? If Muslims were accused of doing that, I'm sure he would have had an article about it. So, Mr. Spencer, if you're against all terrorism, why don't you talk? Why didn't you post an article about this? Why didn't you post an article about the religion of white supremacy? About the religion of white supremacy attempting to commit bioterrorism. But he's quiet about that. See? Instead, the Muslims, the Muslims, the Muslims. He's a bigot. He's a bigot. This is bigotry here that he's promoting. He's demonizing Muslims. Meanwhile, the things that he claimed Muslims are the same thing his own people are doing. Which means what? That you can't single out the Muslims then. You can't single out the Muslims. Because your own people are doing these very same things. So it can't be a Muslim issue, sir. It can't be an Islamic issue. But the fact that you're only trying to demonize Muslims for this proves that you're a bigot and a racist, and you can't be trusted to speak fairly about Islam or Muslims. Right? Some other things that he kept his mouth shut on. Look at this one. Right? Didn't see nothing about him. Didn't see him say anything about these things. He's always talking about, like I said, if you go to his page and his Jihad Watch blog, everything is about the Muslims. Every little thing a Muslim does, he's on it. Right? He's on it. But when his own people are committing acts of terror, which is actually more dangerous than any alleged Muslim terrorist, his mouth is shut. Look how dangerous this is here. Recently uncovered FBI report reveals long history of white supremacists infiltrating law enforcement. That's the religion of white supremacy, Robert Spencer. This is here in America. Most of his articles are from other countries. Why aren't you talking about the religion of white supremacy right here in America, Mr. Spencer, that is doing stuff like this? Infiltrating law enforcement and then abusing their jobs as police officers to be race soldiers and harm people of color, black people, Latinos, and others through their white supremacist, religion of white supremacist ideology, Robert Spencer. Why don't you talk about it? If you were really an honest person, why aren't you talking about that stuff? Because the fact of the matter is that you're not an honest person. You can't be trusted because you're a bigot. It's clear that you are promoting bigotry against Muslims and Islam. Because again, if you were really about terrorism, all terrorism, you'd be showing all these articles here. But no, you don't. You don't do that because you're not really about that, right? And here, let me show you some other things. Like I said, this is his page. And like I said, when you look on his page, all you see him doing is arguing with other people. And like I said, I tried to go as far as I could go. And I don't see him say anything, like I said, about justice for George Floyd. Nothing. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Nothing. Everything is look at these Muslims, or not. Like I said, now it appears that he's starting to argue with some of the people, and everybody's a liberal, everybody's a leftist, right? It's all that stuff, right? I don't see him addressing any of the any of the stuff. I don't see him speaking against races anyway. Everything is what Muslims are doing, or the leftists, right? Now he seems to be on this, pro-Trump, against people who are against Trump stuff, right? But nothing. He claims he's on the right side. It doesn't appear. It doesn't appear that that's the case, right? Doesn't appear that's the case. When you look at his page, right? Right. Of course, they love this one here. What's this? This is a they always love they always love to get the black sellout who stands in defense of white supremacy. They love that. Like Malcolm X said, they always love the house Negroes types, right? So this guy, this black man, I guess from what it says here, he's speaking against them tearing down the statues, right? So they love that, right? They always love the token. They always love to find the token. That's why they like the so-called ex-Muslims so much. That's why they like to get the Arabs from the Middle East who speak against other Arabs, they love that. They always love that, right? The white supremacists like Robert Spencer and his friends, they love that. They always love the token Negro, the token Arab who's willing to speak against other Arabs, the ex-Muslim who's willing to speak against Islam and down other Muslims, right? They love that. So, this doesn't prove anything. But again, I noticed, like I said, I don't see him saying anything about George Floyd. No justice for George Floyd. He's mad. It appears that he's upset that they're pulling down the statues, right? He's retweeting all these things. It appears that he's upset, But again, like I said, I expect it. I expect that a white bigot would be upset that they're tearing down the images and the symbols of white supremacy. All these Confederate statues are nothing more than symbols of white supremacy. As I said, I don't even know why they're honored here. I don't even know why they have statues of these people. These people were traitors. It's funny. These guys always talk about patriotism and respecting America, yet the Confederate flag and the Confederate statues are actually symbols of disrespect to America, because the Confederates were the people who, during the Civil War, they were traitors to the United States. They were traitors. So if anything is disrespect, that's the utmost disrespect, to put up statues of people who were trying to destroy the United States, who fought against the United States in the Civil War, right? Who rebelled against their own country and fought it. It's disrespectful to still honor and put up the flag. That flag should be outlawed. The Confederate flag should be outlawed. Confederate statues should have no place in America at all. There should be a law against them, just like in Germany. Germany does not honor the Nazi generals or war heroes. They don't do any of that. They don't honor the Nazi flag. In fact, it's against the law. If you get caught doing that, you can be punished. America should be the same way. If you guys are really about patriotism, all Confederate statues and flags and symbolism should be outlawed. They were traitors, let alone the fact that they were white supremacists. But if you guys can't get on board with the white supremacy, then at least ban them because they were against the United States, since you guys claim that you're so patriotic. Those guys were traitors to the United States. They were traitors. They shouldn't be honored at all. There should be no statues of these people whatsoever. You see? But as you can see, as I said, as you can see on this page, I try to go back as far as I could, and I don't see anything about justice for George Floyd. I don't see anything about justice for Breonna Taylor. Nothing, right? Nothing. Yeah, look, immigrant, see? Everything is the immigrant, right? Muslim migrant charged with conspiring to join ISIS, claims entrapment due to racism. Yeah, right? But he won't show the article that I just showed you. Come on, Robert Spencer. Let me show us that you're really a true fair man, and let me see you post this article right here. Share this article with your followers. About how these white supremacists were talking about bioweapon using coronavirus. Talk about that if you're honest, if you're really against all terrorism. Share this article with your followers if you're really against all terrorism. Share this article with your followers. if you're really against all types of terrorism and violence and stuff like that. How about that? But instead, no, everything is Muslims this, Muslims that, right? Let me show you some other hypocrisy about Robert Spencer. Here's a site that seems like it's a counter to his site. It's called Right Wing Watch. Right Wing Watch. And again, I posted this to Robert Spencer because he was doing the same thing. In this one, look at this one here. He was talking about how he was calling these people spreaders or something like that, right? He made some comment about Muslims being super spreaders because they were trying to, some Muslims in certain countries were still trying to have services, Jumu'ah or whatever. So he makes a comment, oh, look, the Muslims are super spreaders. So I showed him, I sent this, as you can see here, I sent him this tweet here. I said, what about these people, Mr. Spencer? Are these Christian super spreaders? As you can see here, this guy, Jonathan Shuttleworth, says that he's calling on his Christian friends to have a Christian gathering in defiance of the stay-at-home orders. So are these people Christian super spreaders, Robert Spencer? Or are you just a bigot against Muslims like we said? Because again, I didn't see you talk about this. I didn't see you call this guy out. He's a Christian. Is he a Christian super spreader, Robert Spencer? Did you even discuss it? Did you even share it, right? No, you didn't. Why not? Because you're a bigot. You're a simple bigot. You're a hypocrite. Again, if you were really honest and fair, you would call all of this out. You would say, hey, look, there's Christians and Muslims doing this. It's dangerous. They're violating the Quran. No, instead, you keep your mouth shut about Christians doing it. You don't say a word. And then you make these disparaging comments. Oh, Muslim super spreaders of Corona. Well, then these guys must be Christian super spreaders, you hypocrite. You hypocrite bigot. And I'm going to add racist to it, too, because you're only pointing out these Muslims doing it. Right? And Muslims from Muslims of color. Cameroon and Africa. Muslims in Pakistan, India, right? Meanwhile, his white buddies, his white racist Christian buddies here, they're doing it, but he says nothing about it. So I'm going to call you a racist and a bigot. Okay? And this is why, I repeat, he cannot be trusted to speak about Islam or Muslims because he's a clear biased bigot. He cannot be trusted. He has a bias, a clear, bigoted, racist bias. Again, if he was honest and fair, he would talk about all of this stuff here, right? He would talk about all of this. Let me show you some other things that he kept his mouth shut about too over the months, right? Check this out. Let's see here. If Muslims had done this, he would have said something. Right here, some more Christians again. Shout out to Right Wing Watch. If you guys aren't following them, you should follow them. They expose a lot of these people, so you could see the double standard of people like Robert Spencer and these other right wing racist bigots. So I would recommend that you follow them. Right Wing Watch. They do a good job of exposing these people. But here's another one. Right. This guy, Rodney Howard Brown, will continue to hold services because his church is the most sterile building in America, as it contains 13 machines that can instantaneously kill any virus. Right? And of course, they were doing it so they can, keep those donations coming in. Did Robert Spencer call this guy out? Nope. But if a Muslim imam said, hey, keep coming, we need your zakat. We need your zakat donation. So we're gonna ignore coronavirus restrictions. I guarantee he would have had an article about that. Right? Let me show you some other one. Look at this one. This was another one that I called him out on that he didn't say nothing about. As you can see here. I said, how come Memory Reports and Jihad Watch never repost these types of videos? Listen to, here, let's listen to it.
זהו הרב אליעזר קשתיאל, ראש ישיבת...
And read the subtitle.
בגלל ביטול העבודות החוקית, אז נוצרו מגרעות עכשיו, כי אין אחריות על הנכס הזה. בעזרת השם זה יחזור. הם ירצו הגויים להיות עבדים שלנו.
זהו הרב אליעזר קשתיאל, ראש ישיבת בני דוד בעלי.
הכי טוב להיות עבד של יהודים. הם שמחים להיות עבדים, רוצים להיות עבדים.
הישיבה הזו מיועדת לבוגרי המכינה הקדם צבאית, המוכרת והיוקרתית בציונות הדתית. רבים מהם מגיעים אליה לאחר שהם מסיימים שירות צבאי.
במקום שהוא יהיה סתם מסתובב ברחובות ועושה שטויות ואלימות ומזיק אחד לשני. עכשיו החיים שלו מתחילים להתנהל.
לפי הרב קשתיאל, האדונים הם היהודים, העבדים הם הערבים. החלוקה לא מקרית, זה עניין ביולוגי, בעיות גנטיות.
יש מסביבנו עמים כאלה, בעיות גנטיות. תשאל ערבי פשוט, איפה אתה רוצה להיות? הוא רוצה להיות תחת הכיבוש. למה? כי יש להם בעיה גנטית, הם לא יודעים לנהל מדינה, הם לא יודעים לעשות כלום. תראה איך הם נראים.
והנה התורה כולה, תורת הגזע.
בוודאי שיש גזענות, מה אנחנו לא יודעים שיש גזעים שונים בעולם, מה זה סוד זה, מה זה לא נכון, זה נכון, מה לעשות?
בעוד יומיים עם ישראל יציין את יום השואה, בין היתר את החלוקה של הנאצים לגזעים, עליונים ונחותים, והנה בגרסה העברית.
כן, אנחנו גזענים, אנחנו מאמינים בגזענות. נכון, יש גזעים בעולם ויש תכונות גנטיות של עמים, וזה דורש מאיתנו לחשוב איך לעזור להם. יש הבדלים בין גזעים, וזה בדיוק סיבה להשית עזרה.
מי שמחה להחליט מי זה מי?
אני רואה שאני מגיע להישגים הרבה יותר מרשימים ממנו.
ראש מוסדות בני דוד, הרב אלי סדן, עומד מאחורי הליהוק של הרב רפי פרץ לראש איחוד מפלגות הימין, כעת המועמד המוביל לתפקיד שר החינוך. רק הרב פרץ הורשה לשאת דברים בפני תלמידי המכינה לפני הבחירות. נתניהו ובנט סורבו. רבני בני דוד מהווים את התשתית הדתית, הערכית והחינוכית של מי שמיועד להוביל את מערכת החינוך שלנו. כיצד הם רואים את השואה?
השואה באמת זה לא שהרגו את היהודים, זאת לא השואה. כל התירוצים האלה כמו זה אידיאולוגי או זה שיטתי או כל זה לא שטויות. זה כיוון שזה נבע מתוך אידיאולוגיה, במידה מסוימת זה יותר מוסרי מאשר סתם שאנשים רוצחים. הומניזם, כל התרבות החילונית זה אנחנו מאמינים באדם, זה השואה. השואה באמת זה להיות פלורליסט, כן? להאמין באני מאמין באדם. זה נקרא שואה.
זהו הרב גיורא רדלר, וזו ההגדרה שלו לשואה.
שהקדוש ברוך הוא כבר הרבה שנים צועק שנגמרה הגולה, אבל אנשים לא מקשיבים לו, וזאת המחלה שלהם שאותה צריך לרפא על ידי השואה.
שימו לב לשיעור המדהים הזה, תחת הכותרת היחס לשואה. כך הוא מחנך את תלמידיו על הנאצים ועל היטלר.
ההיגיון של הגרמנים הוא נכון יחסית לעצמם. זאת אומרת שקבוצה מסוימת באוכלוסייה היא זרע הפורענות לכל האנושות, בגללה כל האנושות תלך לאבדון, הם מרעים לאנושות, ולכן צריך להשמיד אותם. האידיאולוגיה הזאת נשמעת לך לא הגיונית? רעה מאוד.
זה לא נשמע מוסרי.
משה רבינו, אכזרי רשע כמו היטלר?
לא. למה לא?
יש דבר אחד רע בעולם וזה להיות צבוע. משנה לך אם הורגים אותך עכשיו מסכין או כמו שהרגו את הגג או שהורגים אותך בתא גזים, סליחה.
התלמידים נדהמים, מנסים לסתור את הרע, והוא ממשיך בשלו.
בוא נתחיל מהשאלה אם היטלר צודק או לא.
לא.
לא. הוא האדם הכי צודק שיש. ודאי שהוא צודק כל מילה שהוא אומר. ובאידיאולוגיה שלו הוא צודק. יש עולם גברי שנלחם, שעניינו כבוד, שעניינו החוות לוחמים. ויש את העולם הנשי, הרכרוכי, המוסרי, לתת הלחי השנייה. ואנחנו חושבים שהיהודים הם אלה שנושאים את המורשת הזאת, מנסים במילים שלנו לקלקל את כל האנושות, ולכן הם האויב האמיתי. עכשיו, הוא צודק ב100%, חוץ משהו בצד הלא נכון.
האמירות האלה חוזרות על עצמן שוב ושוב בשיעורי בני דוד לאורך השנים. לא פליטת פה, אלא אג'נדה סדורה.
ראשי הבית היהודי כהנא, סדן ופרץ, עושים שימוש במכינות הקדם צבאיות כדי להפנים...
So I'll stop it there. But as you can see, right, if this had, you know how they always like to, you know, how Robert Spencer and Memory, they always like to show these translations of Muslim imams or Muslim scholars from somewhere in the Middle East saying something outrageous or whatever, and they love to post that. But why don't they post this stuff? Huh? Why don't they post this stuff of Israelis, as you see here, talking about how they accept racism, how the rest of us Gentiles are going to be their slaves? If a Muslim had said this, this would be all over the place, right? This would be all over the place. Memory and Robert Spencer, they love posting stuff where some imam from Syria says something, or some scholar from Lebanon says something, or some scholar from Egypt or whatever, Saudi, you know, they love it, right? They love posting that kind of stuff and translating it. Whether they translate it correctly or whatever is the question, right? But why don't they show this? As you see here, I called them out. I said, how come Memory and Jihad Watch never repost these types of videos? I'll wait. Why doesn't Robert Spencer post this? He loves posting stuff that in Palestine they teach their children to do this or do hate Jews or whatever. Well, as you can see here, the Israelis are teaching their people to hate. This is right there. As you can see, this is their military prep school, right? What are they teaching? Hatred. Hatred of non-Jews, Robert Spencer. Memory. Hatred. that we're supposed to be their slaves. Call it out. If you guys are really against all this kind of stuff, then call it all out. Don't be hypocrites. Don't have a double standard. Let's see you do an article about this, Robert Spencer. Call out these Jews here who are talking about, superior races and that we're going to be their slaves. Right? If the Muslims had said this, it'd be outrageous, right? It'd be outrageous. You say, yeah, see these Muslims, see what they think? Well, look what these people think, Robert Spencer. Talk about it. But you won't, right? Because you're a hypocrite. You're a bigot. You only want to demonize Muslims. You only want to demonize the Arabs. You only want to demonize the Middle East and Africa. But you keep your mouth shut about these people. So as you can see, I showed that he has a clear double standard. I showed both Christians and Jews talking crazy, talking bigoted, talking racist, talking about violating the coronavirus restrictions. Do you hear anything from Robert Spencer about it? Nope. Nope. You don't hear nothing about it. Silence. Silence. Look, here's another one. Look at this one. Look at this one. Listen.
Hello, Am Yisrael, wherever you are.
דבר ראשון, לזכור. השם הוא שהביא את הקורונה.
First of all, you must remember it is Hashem who brought the coronavirus.
והוא לא הפקיר את העולם.
And he is not neglecting the world.
הוא משגיח על העולם.
He's supervising over the world.
הקורונה לא יכולה לעשות שום דבר אם לא ברצון השם.
The coronavirus can do nothing unless Hashem wants it to do it.
לכן, מי שאוחז באמונה, שאנחנו בידיים של אבא שבשמיים, אבא הטוב,
Therefore, if you are holding strong onto Emunah, that we're in the hands of our Heavenly Father, a good and benevolent Father,
אבא עושה רק טוב עם הילדים שלו.
the benevolent Father does only good things to his children.
אבא שומר על הילדים שלו.
A father guards and protects his children.
הקורונה באה על הגויים, לא על עם ישראל.
The corona is for the non-Jews. It's not for Am Yisrael. It's not for the Jews.
עם ישראל צריכים רק להתחזק, להתקרב לאמונה ולתשובה.
Am Yisrael only need to strengthen themselves and to become closer to repentance, to tshuva and to emunah, to faith.
תן חיוך.
Smile.
תגיד, תדבר עם האבא בשפה שלך.
Speak to your Heavenly Father in your own language.
ואין לך יותר מה לדאוג.
And you have nothing to worry about.
So yeah, again, if a Muslim said this, if this was a sheikh, if this was an imam who said this, right, it'd be all over the place. It'd be all over the place. See, look at these Muslims. They're praying for coronavirus to kill. Matter of fact, I think he actually just posted an article where it claimed that ISIS was saying something about coronavirus for the disbelievers. Okay, well, be fair then, Robert. Be fair. Now, don't post just ISIS. Post this video of this Rabbi Eliezer Berlin talking about how coronavirus is not for the Jews, but it's for the Goyim. Be fair. But no, he won't talk about that. He'll only post ISIS saying something about it. Why? Because he's a bigot. These are clear examples. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm showing you. This is what racists do. They try to demonize one group of people, even though the examples that they speak about can be shown in other groups, even their own group. But when he is hiding the fact that his own group is doing the same thing and only makes it look like the other group is doing it, that is racism. That is bigotry. That is trying to demonize the other group because you're not telling the full story, right? An honest person would show, hey, man, look, Muslims are doing it, Jews are doing it, Christians are doing it. Instead, no, I'm going to ignore these people and I'm only going to make it look like the Muslims are talking like that. I'm only going to make it look like Muslim imams and Muslim scholars are talking like that. But everybody else is fine and well. But here we find Christians talking about it, Jews talking about it. But where is he at about it? Silence. Bigotry. That's why you can't trust him. That's why you can't trust him. Right? As I said, again, remember, for those who saw the beginning, I already showed you that you can't trust him on his arguments against Islam because we've refuted them, myself and others already. But you can't further trust him because you couple that, his lies and misinformation against Islam, with his bigotry and his racism that further discounts him as a person who is reputable to be trusted to speak about Islam. You put those two together and he's out of the picture. He should be out of the picture. But of course, many of his followers are a bunch of bigots and racists themselves. And of course, the stuff that he says, that placates their bigotry, right? They like to hear it because that gives them a reason to continue to hate. That gives them a reason to continue to justify their bigotry because he's giving them what they want to hear. Whereas if he was to show them this stuff, what would they say then? Then they'd have to rethink their positions. Right? So, we called it out. Look, let me show you this one. Look, now here's a Christian saying it. So look, I showed you 3 examples, right? He showed an article where ISIS was talking about how coronavirus is a punishment for the disbelievers or whatever, right? I showed you now that the Jews are saying that the coronavirus is for the other people, not them. And here's a Christian saying it. Now look, here's a Christian saying that coronavirus is for the non-Christian. Listen.
You're under judgment because you oppose. God is spreading it in your synagogues. Yes. You're under judgment because you oppose his son, the Lord Jesus Christ. That is why you have a plague in your synagogues. Repent. Repent and believe on the name of Jesus Christ, and the plague will stop.
So there you go. So now we have a Christian saying it too, Robert Spencer. And as you can see here, I called him out on Twitter. I got this too. This was back in March, as you can see. I said, hey, Jihad Watch, what do you have to say about this? It's one of your people. So this guy, Rick Wiles, says that God is spreading the coronavirus in synagogues. He's speaking against the Jews, anti-Jewish. Because he says what? Because they oppose the Son of God. Because they oppose Jesus Christ. So God is making Jews have the coronavirus because they oppose the Son of God, his so-called Son of God, Jesus. Did Robert Spencer post this? Nope. He kept his mouth shut. He didn't say a damn word about it. But he can tell you when ISIS says something, right? He can show you an article that ISIS allegedly says the coronavirus is for the disbelievers. But he can't show you when the Jews said it. He won't show you that his Christian friend right here said it. And notice he said it's against the Jews. That's you can't say nothing about the Jews, right? You know it's a no-no. You can't say nothing about the Jews without getting in trouble. So Robert Spencer, why didn't you post this article, huh? Why didn't you post this guy, your Christian brother, talking about how the coronavirus is a punishment for the Jews? You know why? Because you're a hypocrite. You're a bigot. You're a racist. You're not an honest person. You can't be trusted to speak about Islam or Muslims because you are a clear and open bigot. And I proved it. I proved it. Not only have I refuted your arguments over the years and exposed your lies and misinformation against Islam and Muslims, but I'm exposing that you are also a simple and plain open bigot as well. So for all those who see, these are clear reasons to show you that you can't trust Robert Spencer. He can't be trusted. All right? Plain and simple, he cannot be trusted. All right? If you had any doubts, you could see that he can't be trusted. You know? But he's still a bigot though, TS. You see, that's the thing. This is another thing you guys like to claim. You guys always like to talk this Islam is not a race. You're right. It's not a race, but you guys have made it a race. There are articles about it which are titled, and I showed this in my past videos. It's called the racialization of Islam. So you're correct. Islam is not a race, but you guys talk about Muslims and Islam as if it is a race. How do I know this? Let's go back to 9/11, right? When 9/11 happened, the proof that you guys think Islam is a race is the fact that you thought you could identify Muslims. Remember when 9/11 happened, everybody, and they were talking about look out for people with olive complexion skin? Remember that? Well, all Muslims don't have olive complexion. But you know why they came up with that idea? Because you think Islam is a race, you bigot. You think Islam is a race. That proves it. But the fact that the government was saying, oh, look out for olive complexion, that proves that you You were identifying Islam on racial characteristics, olive complexion. Meanwhile, the Arabs that supposedly did it, none of them had olive complexion. But what was the guy? Muhammad Atta and all these different Muhammads. None of them had olive complexion. But to these white bigots, in their minds, yeah, look out for the olive complexion. Right? Look out for the olive complexion, they said. I'm like, that's interesting. Meanwhile, none of the pictures they showed of the people, none of them had olive complexion. Right? None of them had olive complexions. So that's the proof that you guys have racialized Islam. Another proof that you racialized it, when Trump wanted to put the ban on Muslim countries, right? They picked certain countries, right? Yeah, let's ban Muslims. You can't travel to America from these countries, right? You racialized it. I talked about this before in my past videos where I showed the article, where I've even showed the article entitled, that's the name of the article, where they've done the studies and they show how, you know, the Western society has racialized Muslims. Muslims, of course, are not a race, but you've racialized Muslims by claiming that we have certain complexions, skin colors, olive complexion, skin color. That's racialization. The fact that you guys make these kind of, you try to demonize Muslims, that's racialization. Muslims have certain characteristics. Muslims do this. Muslim racialization. How many of you guys have heard this one? I've talked about this one before, where, like, for example, I mentioned this before. Remember that article, that video that came out some years ago? It was called, what was it called? I think it was called Muslim Demographics. Remember that one? Muslim Demographics. It's all based on racial characteristics. Oh, the Muslims are having this many babies. And okay, these are all racial characteristics that you guys are making claims about. Remember that documentary that came out years ago too? It was called, what was it called? Eurabia. Eurabia, how Europe will one day turn into the new Arabia. That's racial talk. That's racial talk, because you got all these Arab immigrants coming to Europe. They said Europe is going to it's going to be called Eurabia. That's racial. That's racism. So yes, Muslims are not a race, but you have racialized Islam. You've made it into like as if it was a race. All these things prove it. Eurabia, Muslim demographics, all that stuff is racialized. You racialized the Muslims. That's proof of it, that you racialized. So I don't want to hear that, oh, Muslims, and yeah, we know it's not a race, but you guys have made it a race. You've made it a race. You speak about it as if Islam is a race, as if Islam and the Muslim people are, you know, some kind of racial group that's trying to destroy your societies. Listen to these people talk. Listen to their rhetoric, how they talk. Oh, all these immigrants from the Middle East, right? All these immigrants from Syria, they're rapists, they're this, they're that. They're destroying our society. All that is racial talk. All of that is just a repeat of the racial talk. If it ain't the Muslims, then it's the Africans. Same rhetoric. Oh, all these African immigrants. Notice it's the same talk. They use the same language. All these African immigrants, all these Arab immigrants. In America, all these Latino immigrants, all racialized talk. Build the wall, right? All of that is racial talk, and you include the Muslims in that because that is what it is. It is white racism. And the Muslims are included in as a racial group, even though we come from different so-called racial groups. There are white Muslims, Arab Muslims, black African Muslims, Latino, Hispanic Muslims, Asian, right? Asian, you know, Muslims from China, Japan, you know, right? But you racialized Muslims, and you use the same racial epithets that you use with other groups. You use it against Muslims, as I said, with the immigrant thing. So I don't want to hear this. Muslims are not yeah, we know it's not. But again, white racism has racialized Islam. You racialize Muslims into racial groups. Okay. All right. So let us be clear about that. Let us be clear about that. So again, everyone, as I said, this video was to show you why Robert Spencer can't be trusted to speak about Islam and Muslims. We exposed his clear examples of his bigotry. All right. We expose his clear examples of his bigotry. So with that, we will close out. Before I close out, don't forget the brother Ijaz. He recently spoke about this today on Twitter. Oh, excuse me. He recently spoke about this today on Twitter, which was the issue of the brothers and sisters who do dawah, and the lack of support that the Muslims have. The Muslims who are doing this, like myself and others. And I've been speaking about this for months, maybe in years, right? And how look, just keep it honest. The Muslims who are doing this kind of work, we need support. Right? Some brothers may not need it, but there's many of us who need the help to keep up the pace with the haters, because as I've said before, they are being supported. I talked about in the past how Robert Spencer I don't know what he's getting now, but years ago there were articles about how he's getting, $100,000 or more a year. He's sponsored to write his books. That's why he can write a book every year about the Prophet, about Islam, about whatever. Every year he got a new book coming out. Sometimes twice a year or more. Why? Because he's supported. He's being sponsored to do that work. He's being sponsored to give lectures, to do this work. We talked about David Wood, right? We talked about all these guys who are out there doing their anti-Islamic work and how they are supported. I showed you David Wood's Patreon before, right? I just recently looked. He has 8,000 something. Did you hear me? He has 8,000 Patreon. I'm sorry. He's getting $8,000. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. He's getting $8,000. Last I checked, when I talked about this months ago, he was at $7,000 something a month. Right now he's up to getting $8,000. Did you hear what I'm saying? He's up to getting $8,000 a month on Patreon just to attack Islam. I think he has about 900 and something followers. Right? He has about 900 and something followers. I, for months, was trying to get up to 10 followers. 10. And I told you guys, I'm trying to get to 10. And then we'll go 15, and then we'll go 20, and then we'll keep going from there. Right now, the goal was to get 10, and I never got it. I never got 10 supporters. David Wood has 900 some odd, 985, I don't know, but he has 900 something supporters on Patreon. I was asking for 10. 10. Did you hear me? 10. And I could not get 10 Muslims to support your brother in the work I do. And as I showed you at the beginning of this video, I've been doing this maybe the longest out of the brothers who are doing it now. And alhamdulillah, I'm glad that we got more people doing it. I'm glad, mashallah, I'm glad that more brothers, young brothers are coming in and joining. But I've been doing this, maybe one of the longest brothers doing this work. As I said, you saw the video earlier, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And I'm asking for 10 supporters on Patreon, and I could not get 10. I couldn't get up to 10. Now I'm down to 3. Did you hear me? I'm down to 3. And alhamdulillah for what I got. I appreciate those brothers who are hanging in there. The 3 supporters that I have, mashallah. The 3 Patreon supporters that I have, mashallah. May Allah reward them. But I'm trying to get 10. My goal is to get 10 Patreon supporters. And I told you guys that if you can help me, I will do more videos. That'll free up my ability to be able to do more videos, to get better video equipment, better, I said it. I got the track record. It's not like I'm going to take the money and buy a mansion, right? Buy a mansion or buy a Bentley or something like that. I got the track record. I've been doing the work. You see it. You see my videos. You see my debates. You've seen my refutations. I've been doing it. I'm asking for the Muslims to help. Because that's the way we keep up with these people, right? That's the way we keep up with these people. And I remind you that, zakat money, some of the stipulations, zakat money can go to people who's doing dawah. right? It's permissible to give your zakat or your sadaqah to people who are doing da'wah to support them in their efforts. So I'm asking for 10 people. My goal is to get 10. I have 3 right now. I'm trying to get 10. Now, I understand that, you know, people have been restricted due to coronavirus, but it didn't stop David Wood's supporters. Apparently, it didn't stop his support. In fact, it appears that he increased in supporters because now he's getting about $8,000 a month. So obviously, the coronavirus restrictions and being, you know, whatever, being not able to work full time or whatever, it clearly didn't stop his people from supporting him. I'm trying to get 10 supporters, brothers and sisters. In the description of this video, for those who watch this video now and those who might watch this in the future, in the description of this video are all the links where you can help support Mr. Islam Answers Back. Continue to do the work that I've been doing for years and to expand on the work that I'm doing so I can grow, inshallah, grow this platform and we can expand the work further out. I'm trying to get 10. I'm asking for 10 supporters. So I got 3. I need 7. Right? I need 7 people to support. So that way we can, you know, grow from 10 and then we can keep going. And, you know, the goal right now is 10. After 10, let's go for 15, then 20, then etc. So on and so forth. Right now, I'm just trying to get 10 people to support the platform and then grow it from there. All right. So, you know, like I said, the brother Ijaz, he talked about this today on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, brother, you know, I've been talking about this same thing for years, man. Same thing for years. The Muslims, you know, we want obviously a voice or voices to refute these people. But we got to keep up with them. They're being supported. They're being funded. I've said this many times. And we need to do the same thing. We need to fund the Muslims who are out there doing this work. I'm one among the many, and I've been doing it for a long time. I'm asking for your support. So please support your brother. You know, like I said, in the link, the descriptions are in the link. The links are in the description of this video, and choose which one you feel you can help best. There's Cash App, there's the Patreon, there's my book available. You know, I got the DVDs and stuff. You know, there's different ways you can help support, inshallah. All right. So, you know, help us out and let's continue to do this work, inshallah. Also, of course, help us by liking the video. Right. Don't forget to like the video. Right. Don't forget to like the video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, don't forget to subscribe. Alhamdulillah, our subscribership has grown. Before we were at 3,000. Now we alhamdulillah reached 4,000 subscribers. So that's good. So, you know, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video. Don't forget to click the notification so whenever we do a video, you'll be notified. And like I said, I always tell the brothers and sisters that I want to do more. I'm trying to be consistent, but it's hard. Because like I said, I can only do it when I have the spare time. And, you know, I get people who send me messages, bro, you know, don't take so long to make another video. Keep going. Bro, believe me, I want to be more consistent, but it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't get the support, I don't have the free time because I got to do the other things to, you know, take care of what I got to take care of. So if you want more videos, help the brother out. Help me out. Some of the other brothers, they said they don't need it. Mashallah, great. Right? Because I saw one of the other brothers on his Twitter, you know, some brothers wanted to support him. And he was like, you know, I really don't need it. Help those who need it. Mashallah. Well, okay, he doesn't need it. I need it. I'm not going to mention any names. But the brother, you know, and the brother, he does good work. But he said he doesn't need the help. All right, he doesn't need it. So help a brother who needs it. I need it. Without putting all my business out there. But I could use the help. Mashallah. I'll be honest. I could use the help. The brother said he don't need it. Well, help the one who needs it. I could use the help. In all honesty, I could use it. So if you want to support somebody who needs the help. All right. Now, I don't want to make this a rant about, you know, about that. I don't want to make the whole thing about that. But again, and let me say, for those who have supported, I appreciate it. May Allah reward you. But for the 3 Patreon supporters that I have who've hung in there with me, I appreciate it. May Allah reward you. And I'm grateful. Alhamdulillah, I'm grateful to Allah for whatever support I get. Inshallah, we could use more though. All right. So with that, I'm going to close out. I appreciate you brothers and sisters for tuning into the show and checking it out. Don't forget to share this video. You can repost it or retweet it or whatever, and spread it around. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll go from there, inshallah. And I'll see you on the next video. And like I said, inshallah, we're going to try to go on the offensive now, right? It's time for us to start, it's time for us to be on the attack with the information. Let me be clear what I'm saying. On the attack with the information, for people try to misrepresent what I'm saying. All right. It's time for us to go on the attack with the information. I'm talking about with the information. You got to make that clear, because you know how they'll try to misrepresent you. They'll try to misconstrue what I'm saying. So yes, it's time for us to be on the offensive with the informational attacks. We've been sitting back too much, letting them attack us, and we've been on the defensive, fighting back, refuting, which is great, and I'm still going to do that. But right now, it's time for us to start to go on the offensive with the information, inshallah. All right, I'm going to end it there. Again, don't forget, like the video, give it a thumbs up, spread it around. And again, support your brother, brothers and sisters. Support your brother. Utilize those links in the description of this video. Have a good night. Assalamu alaikum.